COVID spike in Grand Bahama. Doctors get more N95 masks. Your Money Minute. This is Flipping Grand Bahama News for the week ending July 17th, 2020. I'm Haley Adderley. Thank you for joining us. Grand Bahama has seen a spike in COVID cases this past week, which has caused many to worry.
This week began with much uncertainty in Grand Bahama after a number of COVID-19 cases had been discovered. The first appeared to have been an illegal in custody of immigration, a part of a crew of 34 persons on a boat intercepted by the U.S. Coast Guard and dropped off in Grand Bahama, and a female in Grand Bahama with no history of travel. Both were said to be in isolation. That was on Wednesday of last week. On Thursday, a 27-year-old male in Grand Bahama was reported positive with no record of travel. On the 10th, a case was discovered in New Providence. This one, a 40-year-old male with a history of travel. On Saturday, 3 cases were found in Grand Bahama, all 3 females, 2 with history of travel, 1 without, and all were said to be in isolation at home. While there were no cases reported on Sunday, on Monday 2 more cases were discovered in Grand Bahama, a male and a female with no history of travel. They too were sent home in isolation. Tuesday saw another 3 persons, with 1 being in New Providence and 1 person in Grand Bahama was hospitalized. By this time, the Ministry of Health held a press conference during which many expected the call for a shutdown, but the head of the task force, Dr. Marcelin Dar-Regis, responded,
"Looking at the mapping of this, and with this exponential curve, it is certainly concerning. But we have to, ask Dr. Bartlett to speak what has been done now, and then we have to evaluate what is effective on Grand Bahama. Dr. Bartlett, please."
Good afternoon again. One of the things basically we have to establish, and the things we need to take into consideration, is what type of disease we have within our community. We've been blessed from the very beginning of this pandemic with sporadic cases. We still haven't established a clear-cut pattern as to whether we're just dealing with clusters. And at this point in time, it's very hard, very difficult to say that we have established sustained community transmission. So again, we don't have any definite relationships between the cases that we have, other than the relationships we have with those who have traveled to the ones that are positive. So in order to make a decision on that, in order to make recommendations, we still have to have more information. Gathering contact tracing is information from the contact tracing that we're doing right now will give us more information to make decisions that will hopefully protect our community. But at this point in time, we do think it's too early to be able to say what type of transmission and what we are seeing. The thought process is that, as Dr. Dowd just mentioned at the very beginning, is that we are dealing with the influx of persons bringing disease into our country. But one of the considerations that is less likely, given the time that we've had free of COVID-19, is that we still have low community transmission. So hopefully we'll have other indicators that would help us in making decisions as it relates to advising what are the next measures to be taken, lockdown being one of the measures along with curfew.
With each new case, there has been more speculation on whether the island would be shut down. But so far, that has not been the case.
Just in time for the spike in COVID cases, an international non-governmental organization has just made a donation of N95 masks to the Rand Memorial Hospital.
Medical employees of the Rand Memorial Hospital got a well-appreciated donation of masks, which are right on time. Representative of the Third Wave Volunteers, an organization based in Miami, Florida, is Donna Mackey, who said they have in Grand Bahama assisted various organizations since the hurricane last year.
Our organization started after 9/11, And since that time, we've been and participated in every major crisis that has happened throughout the world. In September last year, we came to support the Bahamas after the Dorian experience, the Dorian crisis. And what we did then, we called it a delivery of love. A delivery of love in trailers and tents and lights and food supplies and cleaning debris from the streets. And we find that our love for the Bahamas was called to be demonstrated in this instant with COVID-19. So it's my pleasure today to present on behalf of third wave volunteers this delivery of love of N95 masks to Administrator Williams and her team here at the Rand Memorial Hospital.
Giving thanks on behalf of the Rand Memorial Hospital was Sharon Williams, Hospital Administrator.
On behalf of the Grand Bahama Health Services and its staff, our Public Hospitals Authority and Ministry of Health, we say thank you to Third Wave Volunteer Services and our ambassador for Third Wave, Miss Donna Mackey, for their genuine gesture to Grand Bahama Health Services and its staff.
This donation was of 3,095 masks.
In memory of those who lost their lives during Hurricane Dorian last year, the Grand Bahama Port Authority has placed a monument at the Sir Jack Hayward Bridge this week.
Despite the fact that the government has yet to release the official number of persons missing or perished in Hurricane Dorian, a memorial was erected in their honor and was unveiled by the Grand Bahama Port Authority on Tuesday. Representing the port was Acting Chairman Sarah St. George, who thanked those involved.
But we have been through much over the past 10 months. And in paying tribute to our founding fathers, we thought it fitting to honor and remember all those who were so cruelly taken from us by the most destructive hurricane ever recorded in our island in our time. The unveiling of this monument is to commemorate all those who tragically perished on Grand Bahama in Hurricane Dorian. The 32 lives lost, those we laid to rest, and those still missing. We've all been deeply affected by the devastation, and we've weathered many storms, but none in which so much human life was sacrificed.
The Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, Honorable Peter Turnquest, thanked the port for this monument, but he said he is also planning to erect another in the main area of East End.
And so in addition to this monument today, I intend, with the help of the government, to erect another monument, fitting monument, in East Grand Bahama proper. And we've already identified where we want that memorial to be, not only in terms of a monument itself, but also a community reflection park, so people can go and pray and reflect on those who have been lost. More details will come with respect to that as we have consultations with local government, with the families, and with the communities.
Due to social distancing, only a small number of persons were invited, but they were evidently touched as the monument was unveiled.
We are taking a break, and when we return, doctors address the heat, University of the Bahamas dilemma, and the Money Minute.
Flipping Grand Bahama News is a Media Unlimited production. If you see news in the making or want to advertise, call 242-727-6909. That's 242-727-6909.
Welcome back. This summer is predicted to be scorching hot, and residents were warned to stay hydrated.
Press conference this week, Dr. Freeman Lockhart responded to the question of being able to deal with the heat this summer.
So my advice to the public at large is that we pretty much need to find ways and means to stay cool and also hydrated. Keep in mind that heat exhaustion is a very real phenomenon. Exposure to heat can mean severe dehydration, which can, in some cases, cause persons to actually collapse. Exercise enthusiasts among us, I would encourage you to probably partake of your exercise in the early morning hours or in the late evening when the heat index or the heat intensity is not so severe. Also, if you have any chores to do outside of any kind of cool space, if you can plan to do it during the morning hours, during the evening hours, that would be certainly in your best interest. But again, I would just like to let everyone know that heat exhaustion is a very real phenomenon out there. And so during the course of the day, you need to make every effort to stay hydrated. And pretty much during the midday or during the midday hours when the heat intensity and the heat index is maximal, you more than likely want to find a cool shaded area as opposed to being exposed to direct sunlight.
According to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, this summer is expected to be scorching hot, with record temperatures expected.
The University of the Bahamas Northern Campus has been through a lot this past year, and there is much talk about whether or not it'll close. These rumors sparked a letter to the president of the university and members of the Board of Trustees this week.
During Hurricane Dorian last year, the structure that housed University of the Bahamas and its dorms were completely destroyed, causing the institution to find other accommodations as soon as they were able. Although the people on Grand Bahama were able to bounce back relatively quickly, the setback caused by COVID-19 made the future of the Northern Division of the university somewhat under speculation. This week, the Executive Board, Grand Bahama Chapter of the University of the Bahamas Alumni Association, wrote a letter to the President of the University, Dr. Rodney Smith, asking some very important questions, which were: 1. When will a projected date be provided for the completion of the new UB North campus with all the amenities and space to support growth in a downtown location? 2. Does the university have yet in its possession the insurance money from Dorian's destruction of our campus? And if so, what is the status of those funds? 3. Will the university implement an autonomous governing body consisting of Grand Bahamians with the business and educational fields with the new campus so that the campus can be responsible for general expenditure and its own growth? If not, then when? And 4. Will there be an introduction of degree programs exclusive to UB North that are suited to the needs of the Northern Bahamas? The local alumni then said, "It is our hope that we will receive prompt and detailed responses to these questions so that the UB Alumni Association Grand Bahama Chapter can continue to promote and serve our institution." No response has been heard since.
The Caribbean Governance Training Institute is offering a Risk Committee Certification Program online starting Monday, July 20th, 2020, and had some spaces available that are open to all persons in the region.
The Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce this week sent out an invitation to its members for the Caribbean Governance Training Institute's Risk Committee Certification online program. This program will look at such topics as risk culture in organizations, strategy and risk, enterprise risk management, risk monitoring, and reporting obligations. There are sessions on Mondays and Wednesdays held in the afternoons 1:30 to 5 p.m. and others on Tuesdays and Thursdays 6 to 9:30 p.m. While it begins on Monday, July 20th, it ends on August 6th. On completion, participants will be eligible to write a qualifying examination online that would earn them a right to use the internationally recognized designation Risk Committee Certified.
Acclaimed attorney J.C. Whitaker was recently named Vice President for the Americas of the Association of European Attorneys Board of Directors.
It was just February of this year that Paris Whitaker joined the Association of European Lawyers, also called the AEA International Lawyers Network, and last week it was announced that J.C. Whitaker of this distinguished law firm based in Grand Bahama has been appointed Vice President of the organization.
This is obviously an enormous honor for me and the entire firm. We are such big believers in the Association of European Lawyers' mission and their work to bring together the top lawyers from Europe and across the globe.
He added that this is an exciting time for the Paris Whitaker firm.
We're all having to work even harder these days during the pandemic to find new ways to still be there for our clients. Having access to some of the best legal minds from across the world is more important than ever during these challenging times.
We are taking a break and will return with national, regional, and the Money Minute.
Flipping Grand Bahama News is a Media Unlimited production. If you see news in the making or want to advertise, call 242-727-6909. That's 242-727-6909.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Tourism issued guidelines for travel this week.
The Ministry of Tourism recently sent out guidelines for residents intending to travel, as well as those for persons visiting. However, there appears to be a matter of contention in the regulation that says any person presenting a test older than 10 days will not be allowed entry into the country, because there apparently has been cases where persons were admitted without. Here is head of the task force in Grand Bahama, Dr. Frank Bartlett, as he addressed a tourism training group recently.
There are people who come to our borders that have to be turned away. From the meeting I just left just now, some 44 persons have been turned away, not from Grand Bahama. So far from the data that we've had, some 44 persons have been turned away from our borders because they didn't present the right documentation. A harsh statement, especially if you're traveling by a plane and especially if you're coming from a long distance, because it puts you in an uncomfortable position. It puts us in an uncomfortable position because if you come back here at 5 o'clock with the little resources, we have the airport being closed, and we say, you can't come into the country, what are we to do with you? You have no way back out, and we're saying we can't let you in. Okay, so the process, again, is fought with, or wrought with issues that we're trying to resolve, and the only defense that we have now is going to be those same little things you're worrying about on your face. Okay? Those masks work.
The Ministry of Tourism is still hoping to attract more visitors, albeit from other destinations, while everyone awaits the decisions about Florida's future, the place through which we get a lot of visitors.
The Mission Food Possible team held a virtual mission dubbed Mobilizing Change at a Grassroots Level to Improve Food Security in the Caribbean on Wednesday this past week, looking to improve food safety in the Caribbean.
Coretta Crooks Charles led the Mission Food Possible webinar, which was held this week on improving security in the Caribbean. Explaining what the mission was about, Charles said,
We decided to do it because there have been a lot of webinars over the last couple of months since COVID on food security and many other subjects. And we figured that a lot of them, there's a lot of talk. And we said, why not have a webinar, have a mission that would provide solid examples and recommendations on how each sector in society can work individually and collectively to deal with the food security crisis that's been exacerbated by COVID-19. So that's why we're having this, and we're really hoping that it will be a lively discussion and persons will participate later on.
Presenters during the event were Minister Floyd Green, Jamaican State Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, who spoke on how the public and the private sector can work together to drive change at a grassroots level. Mr. Peter Ivey, founder of Mission Food Possible, who spoke on the topic, the role of chefs in fighting food insecurity in light of COVID-19. Also speaking, Professor T. Althea Samuels, Principal Investigator Improving Household Nutrition Security and Public Health in CARICOM Food and Nutrition Project, University of the West Indies, Barbados, who spoke on Grow It, Eat It, Live It, Caribbean Foods Nourishing Our Communities. Daphne Nguyen Chow, Senior Contributor of Forbes, who spoke on how the definition of food security has changed since COVID-19. Keith Lynn Carew, founder, president, Helen's Daughters, who spoke on Rural Women, the invisible change agents in the food security crisis in St. Lucia, and Alpha Senan, founder, executive director, Y Farm of Trinidad, who spoke on getting the youth to take their place in agriculture. Ivy went on to tell more about Food Possible.
Organizations like Mission Food Possible is about the people and about people eating and eating well. I like approaches to this conversation that come from a grassroots level, because I think at the grassroots level, we get to the eating part much more quickly. And that's why MFP is rooted in the training, empowering, and sustaining of our communities, because we're able to get to that eating part very quickly when we empower the community to provide for themselves.
The webinar lasted over 2 hours and also featured a cooking session.
More on savings in this week's Flippin' Grand Bahama Money Minute.
Almost all banks offer automated transfers between your checking and savings accounts. You can choose when, how much, and where to transfer money, or even split your direct deposit so a portion of every paycheck goes directly into your savings account. Tip: splitting your direct deposit and setting up automated transfers are simple ways to save money, since you don't have to think about it, and it generally reduces the temptation to spend the money instead. Some banks can easily set up automated transfers between
We now take you to your 7-day weather forecast. That's all for this week for Flipping Grand Bahama News. I'm Haley Adderley. Catch us again next week on flippinggb.com, on Facebook at Flipping Grand Bahama, on YouTube at Flipping Grand Bahama channel, or on Instagram on Media Unlimited Bahamas. Do comment, like, share, and subscribe.